Hi everybody, this is Pete, and you're watching the second in the Camera Lucida 9.0 series of tutorials. In this tutorial, we're going to be covering some of the image processing capabilities that are found in this toolbox icon down here. Whenever you open up the toolbox icon, you get a list of different filters, functions that you can apply to the image that will always apply to the image that is on the screen. At any time, you can always reset it back to the original. If you've done something interesting, you can also hit the Save button, which will save the image that you have changed to your camera roll so that you can load it later on. Things that you can do, for example, are converted to 64 colors, sepia tone, grayscale, which is really important. Posterizing, which is one of my favorites, that takes the image and turns it into a certain number of shades of gray, all the way from 16 down to 2. I like 6 to begin with. And what's great about that is that it really gives you a feeling for the values, the dark areas, the light areas. So if I wanted to come in here and really make this portion here dark, I've got a charcoal pencil here. I can do that because this is the darkest area of the drawing for sure. Now let's say that you only want to see the darkest areas. You can bring up the toolbox. And other functions such as levelize work off of the values that you've selected for posterize. So if I go to levelize, what it does is it picks just one shade that you have. In this case, I had picked 6 shades of gray, so it gives you the ability to show just that shading of gray. So if I pick 1, it's going to show me the very, very darkest. So what it's doing right now is it's showing me the areas that I want to make the darkest value. If I was to come in here, I can see that with this really black charcoal pencil, I might want to make sure these little dark areas around the mouth are as dark as possible. These are just guidelines. Nothing says that you have to do this. And there's no right or wrong way to creating art. But this certainly gives you the idea of where the dark areas ought to be. If you're using hatching, you would know that you need to do the most hatching at that particular area. Sometimes for hair, more is not better. And you want to try to just give the impression of hair. Even just the impression of the hairline is usually enough. Other things that you can do are things like color comic book. That'll take the original image and do some processing on it. That'll convert it into a color comic book. Now remember how I said these functions always work on the current image. I should probably reset that to original and then hit the color comic book again. And it will take and it'll make a pastel, highlight the dark, highlight the lights. If you were filling in with some colored pencils, you might want to use that feature. You can blur. My suggestion is to play around with different ones. But other things that it can do, for example, are wash levels. If you're using something like a watercolor wash, multiple washes build up. And these different buttons show you exactly where to draw, where to paint a particular wash value. Not much on that one. Each one, you would actually add a wash to these areas and they would build up to create the final image. Other things that you can do for certain kinds of images is to normalize them or equalize the black and white. That's sometimes really interesting and very important if you have an image that is not saturated properly. Finally, there are some features for adding grids. Some people find it easy to use a grid to help them align the image, particularly if they're going to take the paper, move it, and they want to realign it to where they were before. So those are the advanced image processing functions that the application allows you to see. I recommend you just play with them, find the favorites. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me.